Welcome one, welcome all to Max's Bike. I'm Max and I have the mic. Today's episode is all about the 2023-24 NFL Divisional Round playoffs and my predictions, what I think is going to go down. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. For the very first game, the playoffs, at 4:30 on Saturday, Eastern Standard Time, the Divisional Round, it will be the Houston Texans going to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. The Ravens have managed to continue to roll despite having to deal with continued injuries to the offense, of a revolving door for running backs, and also losing their Mark Andrews, their best tight end. Yet, incredibly, this team has continued to roll due, in fact, to the running ability, throwing ability, and throwing while running ability of Lamar Jackson and his amazing MVP winning, regular season MVP winning performance this season. He'll win it. And that's just because he's been so amazing. On top of that, rising rookie star Zay Flowers has been an amazing receiver for Lamar and Lamar's top target after losing Mark Andrews. Isaiah Likely has also stepped up in Mark Andrews' role as the number one tight end. And we've seen a little bit of showing from other receivers, including Odell Beckham Jr. However, it's really been the work of the defense that has kept this Ravens team the best team in the regular season. Led by linebackers Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen, this Ravens pass rush has really dominated opponents and has forced opposing quarterbacks into making lots of mistakes. And with some help from this defensive line and secondary, this defense is the best defense in the league right now. And they look to continue to show that off this upcoming week against the Texans. Texans coming off of a massive win against the Browns, a dominant victory. Defense really proving that they are a force to be reckoned with, recording 2 pick sixes while also allowing only 14 points in the entire game. While they did allow 324 yards of total offense, they stopped 8 out of 15 third down plays. That's pretty good. That's really good for a team's defense that, quite honestly, I did not expect to be that good this season. They're on the younger side, new head coach, and this team's really been showing off, as well as C.J. Stroud has been playing amazing, completing 16 out of 21 passing attempts for 274 yards and 3 touchdowns. His top target, Nico Collins, last week, 100 receiving yards on 6 receptions out of 7 targets and a touchdown. This Texans team was rolling. The big thing is that they need to continue to roll. They need to not let this big stage overwhelm them, because now they're going into Baltimore, and it's a hard place to go into and play. And on top of that, they're taking on the best defense in the league. So CJ Stroud needs to keep his team calm, composed, and needs to continue to lead and continue to just put up points. That's a key for a lot of teams, is you got to just score. Step 1 is to just get into field goal range. That should be your goal. Goal number 1 should be get into field goal range and secure 3 points. Goal number 2 is then to try and get the other 4 or 5. But just make sure you're constantly putting up points. For the Ravens, it'll be to stop the big play. Texans scored 2 touchdowns out of their 4 on offense that were 30-plus yards plays. And that does not include the 2 pick sixes. In addition, they also averaged 12.7 yards per passing attempt. That includes the 5 incomplete passes that Stroud threw. So in 21 passing attempts, they averaged 12.7 yards per pass. That is huge. While they were unable to get their run game going last week, it doesn't really come as a surprise, as they were taking on Myles Garrett and this ridiculously good Browns defensive front. For the Ravens, it'll simply be play your game and put the game away. Something that I saw a lot last week was that teams took a lead. They were able to hold on to the lead, but they never really put the game away. Well, I feel like that's a key for the Ravens this week. I don't think it's something they'll be able to do, as I feel like Stroud is just a little pesty and will keep into it. However, I don't think it'll be enough. I think the Texans will kind of match blow for blow early, stay in this game for a little bit. It'll be a high-scoring first half, I believe, which will be something that this Ravens defense isn't really used to, but I feel it'll be a high-scoring first half with the Texans scoring first on a field goal. Feels what's probably going to happen. There's going to be a lot of field goals kicked on the Texans side, but that's key, is to secure points. But I don't think it'll be enough. I think the Ravens will pull out the win, winning 41-30 in a game that will consist of second half just being ball control, sustained runs, and chewing the clock. As this game will be close for the most part, but the Ravens will slowly start to stretch that lead in the second half and will ultimately, I feel, win, again, 41-30. The next game going on Saturday night will be the Packers heading to San Fran to take on the 49ers. The Niners are well rested and ready to rock. Debo Ayuk looking to carry the passing game with help from Kittle, CMC ready to run the ball, and Brock Purdy just looking to give the ball to his playmakers. And on defense, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, and this amazingly high-powered defense, looking to keep Jordan Love, Aaron Jones, and this large wide receiving room in check. Speaking of the Packers, surprisingly, they were able to beat the Cowboys. I mean, I predicted the exact opposite. I predicted a Cowboys blowout. I wouldn't really say it was a Packers blowout, but it was a first half blowout. Going into the half, Packers were up 27-7. But then that second half, once again, they weren't able to really close out this game. That's going to be a key that I'm going to talk about. It's closing out the game and putting up points. Because when you let a team hang around for a little bit, they're going to slowly start creeping back in, and they're going to make it a game. And then you might get a little nervous, might get a little flustered. That's when you make mistakes, and that's when you lose games. And that's when these big comebacks happen. So closing out the game is important, is a key. And I think it'll be hard to do that, but you can do that in two ways. You can either do that by blowing the game open, or on defense, simply just not allowing your opponent to get into scoring position while the offense just holds the ball for a long time and lets their defense rest up. It's as simple as that. You can make it feel like you have no time on offense, or you can just blow the game open. So we'll see what happens. But this Packers team looked really good last week, with Aaron Jones scoring 3 touchdowns, getting an interception and a pick 6 from Darnell Savage. Both sides of the ball were working really well for the Packers. Just doing a good job sustaining and continuing to put up points. And the big thing this week for the Packers will be to continue to put up those points. For the Niners, it'll be to play their game. For the Packers, actually, it'll be get pressure on Brock Purdy. It has been proven by the Ravens and exposed by a few other teams that the only way to beat the Niners is to have Brock Purdy making mistakes. Because if he can't get the ball to his playmakers, if he can't get the ball to CMC and to Debo Samuel and to Kittle and Ayuk, if he can't get the ball out, they can't make the plays and they can't hurt you. It's simply just get pressure on Brock Purdy, get him a little uncomfortable, get him a little flustered, and that's when he starts making the mistakes and throwing the 4 interceptions that we saw against the Ravens. So for the Packers, it's just get that pressure. However, that's not really that easy to do because this 49ers team has a phenomenal offensive line. So it's important that they get pressure, but it's going to be hard. I got a feeling that they're not really going to be able to. Again, this will be a game that's close in the first half, and the Niners will take a lead in the second half and grow that lead. I think the Packers will try and close that gap, but I think the Niners will do a good job closing out this game with CMC, just giving him the ball. I feel that this game will be better off. The more that CMC has the ball, the better. I think the Niners will win this one 27-20. Now it's time for the Sunday games. Sunday game day for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers coming off of a very close, hard-fought battle against the Eagles using the passing game and this very terrible Eagles secondary to the Buccaneers' advantage, putting up a 32-9 victory. However, this game was close. They didn't really blow open this game and put up this amount of points until late in that fourth quarter. It always felt like the Eagles were in it. Again, talking about closing out games, the Buccaneers couldn't really close it out, couldn't really put up those final points. And now they got to go up north. Now they got to go to Ford Field to take on the Detroit Lions, a team that is also on the younger side but is building a phenomenal culture under Dan Campbell, who took on and beat the Rams last week. And unlike the Eagles, this Lions team has been rolling on both sides of the ball over the last month and throughout this entire season. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, continues to grow and become an even better player as he moves away from the rookie title and into the veteran title. The dual running back field, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery again. I'm going to preach about this Lions team because this offense is built so beautifully. They can attack you in the run game. They can attack you in the pass game. Getting David Montgomery more action in that pass game. Getting Gibbs more action in the run game has been working to perfection, as well as Sam Laporta. Still a little banged up, but we saw him last week making some great catches, including one in the end zone, as well as blocking. He came out, and the first we saw him, he was blocking, and he's been doing a great job blocking. And I feel that he will be a phenomenal tight end and one that will be one of the best and in the best talks for current tight ends as years to come. Not all time, but we're talking current playing tight ends. He will be one of the best for years to come. This Bucs team will have their hands full. It will be a hard battle for the Bucs, and I feel that the Lions are built and ready and prepared for this game. For the Bucs, keys for the Bucs will be to throw the ball again. Just like the Eagles, this Lions team does not fare well against the pass, against the rush. They are number one against the rush. And while they don't have too many sacks, this Lions defense can bring a lot of pressure and pressure the quarterback while only rushing 4 or 5 guys. They're amongst the best in the league in doing this. However, the sacks don't really come. So for Baker, it'll be a lot of guys at his face, a lot of hands up in his face, getting it all in his face. But he's got to be able to handle that and throw the ball to a receiver that won't be open by a lot, but may be open. It'll be to throw the ball again. It'll be to try and establish the run game early. But if things aren't going, don't force it, because this Lions defense is best in the league against the run. And for the Lions, it will be to just get the ball to your playmakers. Get the ball out of Goff's hands. Don't have him sitting around too long in the pocket. Find the open receiver. Be careful. Try and limit those mistakes. This Lions team has been relatively good at limiting the mistakes and creating mistakes on the other side of the ball, forcing the offense to make mistakes. That is the offense of the opposing team. The Lions need to make sure on offense that they are not the ones making mistakes. Making sure Goff's just getting into receivers, whether it's the check down to Montgomery or Gibbs, or it's the short slant routes to Laporta and Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra's been going deeper more on those crossing routes across the field that have been working really well. For the Bucs, I feel that it'll be playing some man, some cover 2 maybe, getting a second guy on Amon-Ra, keeping a second man deep, watching out for Jamal Williams, for Khalif Raymond, or for anyone else, Donovan Peoples-Jones, anyone else in this Lions receiving core, as a lot of attention can be taken away by Amon-Ra and Laporta and making sure you're covering the running back, that you got to be careful that you don't leave any of these other receivers wide open for an easy reception and more. These receivers are really good in open field and taking off. So tackling an open field will be another important factor of both teams have to make sure that they're doing. We saw last week with the Bucs and the Eagles what happened when the Eagles couldn't make tackles in open field, and David Moore was able to go off and score a 60-yard touchdown because the Eagles couldn't tackle him in the open field. It's the same thing with the Lions. We saw when they played the Cowboys and they couldn't take CeeDee Lamb down in open field. I think the Lions will win this game by a score of 30-23 off of the back of the offense with Amon-Ra and Laporta and Gibbs and all these weapons will help carry this team to a 30-23 win. And finally, last but certainly not least, Chiefs at Bills. Patty Mahomes versus Josh Allen. The modern day quarterback battle and the quarterback battle of the future. These two have already had some great battles that could be considered legendary, and they will continue to have more battles in the future that could be called legendary. And this game might be one of them. Mahomes has to go play his first away game that doesn't take place in the Super Bowl. His first playoff away game that is not a Super Bowl game. And he's got to go to Buffalo. Place that's really hard to go and play in, especially now. I understand that both teams are cold weather teams and are used to the cold, but playing in Buffalo is just different. Bills Mafia just makes your life terrible. Getting away with sneaky snowball throws, as there will be some more snow per usual Buffalo weather. So it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a hard-fought game. Once again, locking up the game. Both teams kind of struggled last week, while the Bills did a little bit better of a job than the Chiefs against the Dolphins. It'll be a battle, like I've continued to say. But it'll be a battle of different stories, in a sense, that focusing in on the Chiefs this season, while they've been successful, unlike last year, drastically different from last year's team. Last year was all the offense, and the defense just kind of was there. It was kind of a coin flip on whether or not the offense was going to score, and then it was just defense. It was just like they just let up score after score after score and had to rely on the offense. And now roles have flipped. Now the defense is getting stop after stop after stop, and the offense, can they score? Can they not? It's been the defense for the Chiefs that's been keeping them in. So the storyline for the Chiefs here is can their offense score? I mean, they put up points last week, but last week it came off of Butker's foot. I think they had one touchdown in the entirety of the game, and it was all Harrison Butker putting up field goal after field goal after field goal, coming up clutch. And this week, I don't know if it's going to be able to hold up, because this Bills offense is high-powered. First of all, their defense has been coming along. They've had some injuries, but this Bills defense can come and play. When they show up with the pass rush, with their great secondary, they are a hard defense to deal with. And once this offense is rolling, as long as Josh Allen's not making mistakes, throwing interceptions, this is a hard team to deal with. I believe that Gabe Davis will be out for this game. However, that just gives Josh Allen more incentive to give the ball that he should be giving it to, no matter what, and that's Stephon Diggs. Diggs is an amazing receiver who can get open easily. It's just a matter of giving him the ball. Now, this Chiefs defense is going to be double team and triple team and putting 4 guys on Diggs. But when the game's on the line, he's on his prime. And he's going to show up and go off for the Bills this week. This Bills team looking to continue to roll, continue to move on, and I feel that they are the team to beat right now. And I think they will go out and they will win this game. It'll be a hard-fought game, especially in the beginning. The beginning, I feel, will be a low-scoring game. But I feel that the Bills will start to crack open this game, and once it gets cracked open, it'll continue to flood and flood with the Bills taking the win at home and moving off to take on the Ravens in the next round. The Bills will win by a score of 30-17. Close to last week. 30-20. We'll go 30-20. I'll bump it up. I'll give the Chiefs another extra field goal off of Harrison Butker. It'll be a back-and-forth game that the Bills will break open, and then it'll be the James Cook show. Just running the ball over and over again, beating on this Chiefs defensive front, running out the clock. Bills will win 30-20. to 20. So those are my picks. I got the Ravens, I got the Niners, I got the Lions, and I got the Bills. I got the home teams pulling out the win this week. So stay tuned until next week for championship picks. Hope y'all have enjoyed this episode of Max's Mic. I hope y'all have a great day. See you next week.